So a cab driver in New York, he picks up a nun, and they're going down the road, and he said, you know, I wanted to share with you, I've always had this dream, and it's just been on my heart for many, many years. And the nun says, well, son, what is it? Well, I've always wanted to kiss a nun. And so the nun said, well, you know, okay, well, I can tell you I've seen a lot in my life, and I've heard a lot in my life, and that's okay. But there's a couple of things that are very important. Number one is you must be single. And number two is you must be Catholic. He said, oh, yeah, absolutely. So they pulled down an alley, and boy, this nun gives this cab driver a kiss to be remembered. And then they pull away, and all of a sudden, the cab driver begins to cry. And then it says, what in the world is wrong? And the cab driver says, well, I wasn't really honest with you. I'm married, and I'm actually Jewish. And the nun said, that's okay. My name is Kevin, and I'm on my way to the Halloween party. Yeah, baby. Okay, today we're talking about the value of follow-through. And what I've noted about myself and what I've noted about other people that I've known in my life through the years is when you want to dream and you're right on the corner of your dream happening, more often than not, we tend to be somebody that we're not. When we're on the corner of going through something that implies to some sense of struggle or challenge, it's like, let me be anybody but me, and let me see what kind of results that I can get. We all remember in the early days of our first relationships, which is why we call them our first, because they were great practice. But I don't know about you, but I would meet somebody and I'd so fall in love, I'd forget who I was. Right? And I would edit, and I would be the chameleon or whatever, or I would adapt to somebody else's dreams or ideas or become different or be somewhat dishonest, not necessarily on purpose, but perhaps emotionally. You know, I like to say that to wish upon a star is progress, but to know you are a star is evolution. And when you look in your life and you say that you are doing without something, it is because you have bought into a perception, like Michelle said, that what you are looking for is outside of you. And when you decide it is outside of you, there is already the missing of the reality of a Halloween party because it is in you. And what you are supposed to manifest and realize will be inside yourself. Agamben, who contemplated suicide, went on to create some of the greatest teachings in theology and philosophy in the world. The world's greatest salesman, right? Or the greatest salesman, I believe it was. But many other writings that are quite profound. And he said, you know, I love the light. But I also love the dark because it is in the dark that I see the stars. A number of years ago, when I was looking and seeking of how to anchor in a greater way my spiritual being, which meant that I was seeking to embrace my humanity more, right? And I go on this journey of the inner world, the underworld, as we say in shamanism. And it was very interesting. It was different than any meditation journey that I had ever done. And I'm like, I closed my eyes, and all of a sudden I've been taken up to a spiral, to a spiral, to a spiral. And the biggest light, a light was so bright that it remained in that room for many hours. But it was like Jesus came up on almost like a parade float. You know, it's all imagery, and like a parade float. And there Jesus was and looked at me and said, do the work. The path is straight. You know, well, I mean, I was raised in a time that you need a 7-step plan, you know, and I went, that's it, you know, do the work, the path is straight. I mean, what? I mean, that's all there is to it, you know, that do the work, the path is straight. It's so simple. Wow, until you're living in it. Do the work. Wow. Most of us want the path, but not the work, right? I mean, I even went to a car instruction manual and looked up the word light, right? See page 62. You go to 62, it tells you to go to page 86. You go to 86, it says more information on page 112. You go to page 112 and it says pages no longer exist. I mean, like, hello, do the work and the path is straight. Wow. I had a great experience of that last week, and if you're interested, I'll share it with you. Now that you've asked, I will. 25 years ago, I was in ministry and looking to offset my ministry salary. And I got it in my mind that I would love to be a minister in high-end real estate. And so I walked into a place in Manalapan near Palm Beach Island, and I went to the brokerage firm and I said, I would like to sell these castles by the sea, and that was the name of the company. Well, what happened to me doesn't really happen. He said, go take the test and I'll hire you. Most of you know that have any exposure to real estate know that if you're going to represent high-end real estate, you have to have years of experience. But he did, he hired me. And so as I was there a few weeks, he said, what is that teaching that you're a part of? You know, your ministry, it's got some kind of odd name. I said, religious science, you know, the teaching of the science of mind. He said, well, we have this guy coming in town, and his name is Reverend Ike, and he is looking to purchase one of these multi-million-dollar homes on the ocean. And he said, and I want you to show it to him. Well, it was an experience just like it was yesterday in my mind, that Reverend Ike was one of the original teachers of abundance and prosperity, and he never apologized for it. He splashed it everywhere. And so they pull up, they have Excaliburs, they have thousands of dollars of suits, and they're all walking into this house and into this area. And I start name dropping to Reverend Ike, the people that I knew, you know, himself, Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman, and he goes, how do you know these people? And I said, well, because I'm a Science of Mind minister. He pulls me out on the deck and says, they can wait. And he looks at me and he said, anyone can learn the skills to be a successful realtor, but no one can be what you are destined to be as a minister. Grow your consciousness and get back out there and do the work, right? So for years, I have held this right time, right words, right moment in my heart. So here I find myself 2 months ago on a phone call to the now spiritual director of the United Palace in New York, which is the 4th largest theater in New York, that Reverend Ike and his community owned. And he's been gone for a while in the physical way. But when I told her what happened, I said, I would love to share that with your people there. It was a life-defining moment. So that's where I was last Sunday, as I was able to share a thank you, because the time always comes in your life. It always comes, it always presents itself. And my new thing is there's a difference between being full of yourself and being full of spirit. Because when you are full of spirit, then you are able to continue to connect those dots in your life as you continue to understand how to work within yourself, because dreams that are in you, as I say so often, are going to be realized. Just don't get hooked in how they're going to occur. Right? And you want to be full of spirit. We have too many people today in leadership roles that are full of themselves. We have evangelistic people that even don't believe what they share anymore. And I know they do because I've heard it. I've heard it on the sites. They don't even believe what they're teaching anymore. But yet they teach it because they are too noted, because they make too much money teaching false truths and being wrong information, right? And so we want to be aware of these types of things so that we can allow ourselves to be really fulfilling our soul's purpose. I love one of my favorite readings, and I remind myself often if I am questioning, okay, making an adjustment in my life, I love reading this, and I'm going to invite you to read it with me. From far and near, my own shall come to me. Even now it is coming to me, and I receive it. My own is now manifesting itself to me, and I see and I know its presence. My own shall know and respond to me. The drawing power of that inner spirit within me is now attracting and drawing into my experience all that is good and perfect. There is nothing within me to hinder nor to delay it. I want us to read that sentence again. There is nothing within me to hinder nor to delay it. My own cannot be kept from me. Neither can I keep my good away from me. I receive it now. I now receive my good. Isn't that powerful? It's so very powerful. It's called the deepest aspect of faith that one could ever have in their lives. Faith is so much more than when you can say, oh yeah, I knew that was going to happen. I can see it. But let's talk about the faith when you don't see it. Let's talk about the deepening of yourself when you know inevitably what you've always received and knew to be true about you. Let's talk about sitting in that particular space and that particular energy. And so we move forward, all of us, because here we develop leaders, not followers. Here we develop thinking and actualizing people, yes? And so when we look at the teacher archetype within us, we want to understand in our lives that we are responsible to, we are not responsible for. What do I mean by that? I am responsible to sharing what I feel, what I believe, what I think, what is important to me. I am responsible to that. I am responsible to showing up, not in disguise, not in a costume, but as I am, regardless of the situation, where I am, what I want to do, regardless of that. I am responsible to that. I am not responsible for how other people respond to it, how they react to it, what my family thinks, what the children do, what people say. If somebody's uncomfortable because of it, if they'd feel like, you're putting them on the spot, I'm not responsible for that. There are so many people that never grasp what they are responsible to in their life because they spend their lives being focused on what they are responsible for, what other people are going to think, who's going to like them, how are they going to be in that particular space, you know? And so it's very important to be responsible to the very nature you were born, the thing we're waiting on. In that immensity of who you are, it's like that beautiful archetypal story, probably my favorite, The Wizard of Oz. We know that story, don't we? And Dorothy, like so many of us, goes, "What's my purpose?" I'm fascinated by, the millions and millions of dollars people will spend. I'm looking for my purpose. Well, that's already the missing. You are the purpose. You're not looking for the purpose. You are the purpose. Pay attention to what is called for you to be responsible to, you see. And so Dorothy was in that same place. Am I enlightened? Is this all there is? Wow, I don't know. I kind of feel home, but not really. And, and so she starts calling in this energy. And what happens is she calls in a tornado into her life awareness. She calls in something to shake things up a bit. And I imagine some of you have done that. Anybody? Yeah, just a few. You don't have to raise your hand. You can kind of just elbow a friend. And so it's like, she called in this space that could shake her up. And the first thing that she comes in encounter with, right, is that she comes into the awareness of the bad witch. You can still hear it. I can. Oh, you pretty. I am going to get you in that little puppy dog. I'll get you, my pretty. Ooh. You can still whoa. Oh. Well, that bad rich represents in the film and represents in our lives those limited thoughts, those old beliefs, those old patterns, those identities, the things we bought, the tattoos people have placed upon us that are our self-imposed limitations. And even timely, we're going to say that we can put people on the moon, but we can't work through an issue. I dare say not. All right? I dare say not, right? And so it's that space that we often step into of what is possible. And she has this whole entourage there for support, which is in my mind why tribal community like this is so important today. So important. Technology is wonderful. It's beautiful. But we're not designed to do everything on our own. We're not designed to just sit at home and just be reclusive. It explains in some ways why we have more depression, why we have more suicide, why we have more issues, why we have more unrest. Is because when you come into a place like this of tribal reality, which is ancient to our core, there's something that starts to stir and starts to happen to you. Am I right? And that's exactly what happened to Dorothy, is that she left the home of false identity and she began to surround herself with the good witch and all the other elements that could be seen within her. And that's part of the evolution of our humanity. It's part of who we are in our essence. This is the most exciting time that we have ever lived. And it's right now. And it's us. We are the ones that are called in that essence and that belief system. I say often that it's kind of like the gears that are on an automobile. There's too many people in park. Too many people in park. You know, well, I'll see how everything works out. I'm in park. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm in park. You know, I went over there at that place. Nobody spoke to me. I'm in park. And I say, well, did you speak to anybody? No. I'm in park. Right. Oh, I'm in reverse. Oh, yeah, you're in reverse. Oh, yeah. Because the only story I can tell you is something that happened forever ago instead of today, right now, this minute. The excitement, the joy, the energy, the thing I walked through last week. It's like I am in reverse. The better days are shaped behind me. That is why our eyes are in front. They are not behind us, because we are designed to see what is right now and what is on the days ahead. Right? And then there's the people that are in neutral. Oh, I want to be liked. I want to be loved by you. And I can't be me. I'm in neutral. Which way are you going? Because I'm going with you. Which way are you going? I'm going with you. Which way are you going? Oh, a storm's coming. Oh, I think I'm going to move. Oh, I went to where the storm is, for goodness sakes, you see. So it's like, I'm in neutral. I don't think for myself. I don't make my opinion. I'm part of this. I'm being herded. You know, like I've shared with you before, I'm always so fascinated how many people without question on a cruise go automatically before they go to the dining hall to get their hands squirted with chemicals. It doesn't ever occur to them. They don't have to do it. They just, because somebody's standing there in a uniform with a squirt jar. Right? Wow, washy-washy, in neutral. And then there's us that we're in drive and we're in driven. But you don't ever want to get down to that other gear of 3 and 4. Because you're rushing your adrenals, because you're forcing your good, because you are forcing something to happen, because you're pushing that piece in the puzzle. And when you do that, you have lost the reality that your own shall find you, and you cannot even keep it from you, even if you wanted to, because it was picked for you from the very beginning. It might take a half a minute. It might take you 25 years to say the story that you long to say, but your day will come and you will share it, and you will be changed forever because of it, you see. Right. You will be changed forever. In closing, I was with a couple of friends from Kauai, Hawaii. And we had dinner together. And they were telling me that in January of 2018, they had an alarm go off on their cell phones like we have when we have Amber Alert or we have Silver Alert. You know how your phone goes whack, 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 you know, and everybody it like goes off on the same time. Well, they had an alert that said nuclear attack. Yes, it was obviously an extreme era, but you receive that on your phone, you don't know it. And there was so much panic and people, and I'm not judging that. But what I do know is they went into their practice that we talk about all the time, and they went into this inner practice of what needs to happen here inside us. And they both said, we feel complete. It's been an amazing life. And I wouldn't want to be anything other than what I am, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere than here with you, my love. I feel complete. That is so powerful, because when we can be in this space that I feel complete, then we know that we have followed through on the value of who we are. And the greatest gift that we have been given is freedom to be and live and share that which we are called to. That's what we are responsible to. Thank you. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.